This morning, after weeks of trying to get him to come in, I finally had my first session with patient Dom Cobb. Predictably, the first part of the session consisted of building rapport, helping him gain confidence in the therapeutic process, and turning down very suspicious glasses of water. In listening to him reflect on the events of his film, I began to see how his time in the movie, while being an ethically questionable con, could have some therapeutic benefit for him. In my initial diagnosis after scrapping my original idea, I prioritized establishing that Cobb displayed narcissistic traits, and the harm that this did to the people around him, since these things can often go unnoticed with high-functioning narcissists. Treatment team member Jude Ann expressed dissatisfaction at the singularly negative assessment of Cobb's personality and behavior. And that's a very good critique. So, since we've established the presence of these narcissistic traits, we can now go back to my original idea for Cobb, which was that he was suffering from derealization induced by trauma. Derealization refers to confusion or lack of certainty in the reality of yourself and your surroundings.
Because building a dream from your memory is the easiest way to lose your grasp on what's real and what is a dream.
So what happened to you?
Many studies indicate that the presence of narcissistic personality traits can make the symptoms resulting from trauma even more extreme. So what that means is that even if dissociative symptoms are prominent in Dom, you would need to address the symptoms of his NPD as well. And Cobb had actually begun some of the first steps of dealing with this in the movie. There's a therapeutic intervention called Metacognitive Interpersonal Therapy that has shown great promise in dealing with the central issues with NPD. MIT begins with a stage setting phase designed to address the cognitive issues associated with NPD. People with the disorder tend to struggle with lack of awareness of the details of interactions with other people, lack of awareness of emotional states, and a lack of awareness of how the sense of personal insecurity produced by these emotional states compels the patient towards combative and competitive relationships with others in order to gain a sense of control. Normally, the first part of MIT would be to address these, but it seems that Ariadne and the projection of Maul actually beat us to it. By letting Ariadne into his dream world, he was forced to confront biographical details of his interpersonal relationships. The projection of Maul forced him to confront his main emotional state that contributed to his haughty behavior in the movie.
What do you feel?
Guilt.
And doing so forced him to admit and accept a personal limitation in an activity that he used to avoid the unpleasant feelings of grief and guilt.
I can't imagine you with all your complexity, all your perfection, all your imperfection.
He still has some work ahead of him, but Cobb is actually well on his way to having a positive therapy outcome. Even if a person has narcissistic traits, developing empathic responses and deconstructing perfectionism is possible if they engage in treatment. And if they can couple empathy with their drive and competence, high-functioning narcissists have great potential to be highly effective leaders. What are some more of your questions about NPD and its treatment? Let me know in the comments.